down. I'm the one you call when you need a turn up or down. I'm a tent rental man, I'm working all day, getting those stakes in the ground no matter what they say. From sunrise to the night, I make sure everything's right. Yeah, I'm a tent rental man, I'm working all day.
All right, we are back. Another episode of Under the Vinyl, a rental management media podcast. I have to take the intro today because Nate is just waking up. It's 10:11 in the morning. But
I am on site on a location of a job site, and I am sitting in an RV ready to go home after 5 days.
Hey, don't act like you didn't have a great weekend.
It was a good weekend, but it rained a lot. We're at the NASCAR race in Nashville. It rained a lot. So Friday night they didn't finish the race until 1 a.m. So after we had to go out and take out some divider walls on pit lane suites, and so we didn't get. I think I hit the bed about 1:30. And then Saturday same thing. Rain, but they got done a little early. And then last night got done around 2 a.m. So to say the least, I am ready to get out of here. Everything was good. Good race, good time. Ready to go home.
Well, that's good. Did I see you met someone pretty cool the other day?
Oh, yeah. Actually, childhood dream came true. I was doing my morning rounds, checking all my tents in the morning, and I ran into Dale Earnhardt Jr. And so me and him had a little 10-minute conversation. Just kind of asked him a few questions, and he was willing to sit there and talk with me, and it was pretty cool. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
I was fangirling, though. I told my wife, she said, "How was it?" And I said, "I was shaking." And I don't usually fangirl like that, but that's my one person that I wanted to meet that was awesome. So
yeah. And look what brought you to him. Freaking tents.
Tents, man. Tents bring everybody together, apparently.
Oh, the places they'll take you.
But yeah, no kidding.
This episode of Under the Vinyl is brought to you by Anchor Tents and Clearspans, a fifth-generation family-owned company making tents and clearspan structures right here in the USA. Anchor isn't just about selling the best products on the market. They share decades of experience and stand beside you as you grow your business. Anchor's craftsmanship and engineering give you a peace of mind and will allow you to use the equipment for years to come, season after season. For the next generation of rental owners and installers, Anchor aims to not just be your supplier, but a trusted partner helping guide you into the right products to grow your business. Call to be connected to your sales rep today, 1-800-544-4445, or visit their website at anchorinc.com.
So obviously it's hard for you and I to get together this time of year, so we don't have a guest this week. It's just you and me. So we got some quick topics we can talk about, just some stuff happening. So, I still think everyone's a liar, Nate, but apparently ARA has revised its forecast and they're saying rental revenue is projected to grow 8% this year. What do you think of that?
I think it's tough. I think 8, I would usually say that 8's probably not too big of a number. I feel like 8 is currently too big of a number just with the trends I think that we see as boots on the ground. I think that it depends which market you're in too. Are you in equipment rental? Are you in construction? Are you
They're saying event rental revenue, so our side.
Yeah, okay, so special events side. I don't know. I think it could have a potential. I think this goes back to the last minute stuff. I think there's going to be so many last minute stuff. It's hard to project it. I think that you could probably say that it could be 8% and it may end up very well being there, but right now it just doesn't feel that way. So by the end of the year, I think it could get there, but everything's going to be so last minute.
Yeah. And I feel like some markets in the country are hot still. Like Darren says, Houston's hot. I'm hearing some people down south still saying things are hot. I think the Northeast is cooling off. I know you're seeing some cool off as well, but this last minute stuff, we continue to talk about it. And I don't know how we can get it back to where, people start booking things. Is it the planner's fault? Is it the client's fault? Whose fault is it that we're getting so last minute at this point?
And I can't put my finger on it really either. I think at the end of the day, I feel like the planner is going to do what the client wants to do, right? So, for instance, I think I mentioned it before. I got a job 3 weeks ago, an inquiry came in, or 2 weeks ago, an inquiry came in, and it's for one out west. And I thought it was kind of a joke at first because of what they wanted and everything, and ended up talking with the planner back and forth, and finally kind of put the hammer down that, hey, we're within a month here. I need a deposit. and it's a really decent sized job. They were willing to do it and secured it, but the magnitude of the job, the size of the job, like it's not really the size. I guess it's the complexity of the job. It's pretty wild. So to book something like that at the last minute, I was just in my mind. It's like, what was your alternative plan?
Yeah.
What were you
What was
going
your
to do?
solution if I said
Yeah,
no?
yeah, and well, not in like just to begin with, what was your plan to start? Like, what were you planning to do to start before you came to me?
You know what? Let's not blame the planners, honestly. At some point, we got to blame the rental companies
And why is that?
because we're all guilty of we'll bail people out. They know they're going to find someone to do the job.
Because
Someone
everybody's a
will do
yes
it.
man. Yeah, everybody's a yes man, or they want to do it at that location to say they've done it. The funny thing is about this one is I thought, it was something random, and it ended up being. I asked them. I said, "How did?" Because I've never heard of this planner, and they're out of Mexico. I said, "How did you end up hearing about us, and what brought you to us?" And come to find out, I did their the the father of the bride's sister's wedding before, and I totally wouldn't have put two and two together, but still I would have assumed that something would have came together quicker than that. So yeah, I mean, we are yes man and we make it happen, but also it's like, yeah, maybe at the last minute, but right now, you're going to take that last minute work if you want to get that revenue up to 8%. I mean, I think that we have to jump on it, and it is what it is. And the biggest issue is going to be mentally preparing our workers and just everybody that things are going to be last minute. This is kind of the way that things are going. We have to make a mental shift, and I know that not everybody's going to enjoy that. Not everybody's going to love it, but this is what we have to do. And it's not like this is not what we have to do to stay in business, but this is what we need to do if we want to increase revenue and things like that. And I think getting everybody together and getting them on board with that and talking about it as a company as a whole to explain that is a lot better than just saying, hey, we got this job in 2 weeks. It's got to go. Prep it. Get it ready. And they've already got stuff that they've been working on for a month that they've known about that has already been ahead of them. So now you got to put something in the middle, whether that be cleaning, prepping, getting it together.
Yeah. And speaking of like dealing with the crews, I've worked really hard on trying to make this not we're done at 10 o'clock every night kind of thing. Like if my guys work past 5:30, it's a rarity at this point. But then last week, we got back at 5:15 and I was like, our day tomorrow is going to be so much better if we all unload. Let's unload all the trucks, just have everything empty for the morning. It'll make everything so much easier. And the looks I was getting, it was like I was asking them to give me their firstborn child.
Like
And
they've never done it before.
yeah, well, and it's COVID did this, the COVID years were great. And they all forget about the pre-COVID where, we were finishing at 7, 8 o'clock every single night.
Yep.
And it was a much different time. And now when you ask them I think everyone left here at 6:05. So they had to work 35 extra minutes. Not the end of the world. But
no, I ran into this too last week, so I'm with you.
like they get in this mindset of like, all right, I know I'm home by 5:30 every day. Life is good. And then you ask them to do something and it's like pulling teeth. I was so mad when I started getting attitude. I just left. I was like, you know what? Screw it. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. I'll deal with it myself, which is also the problem.
Yeah. And so I had that problem last week. So Thursday we were trying to finish this job and we were trying to finish strong, and it was about 9:30, 9 o'clock. And one of my guys came up and said, hey, what do we have left to do? And I said, well, we got all this furniture and we got a couple more tents and we can get out of here. And he's like, we got to do all that tonight? And I said, look, man, I don't want to be here just as much as you don't want to be here. Well, then he starts going off, I've got to go home because I don't want to, my dog and this. And I'm like, dude, look, I have 3 kids and a wife at home that's recovering from cancer and has something to do for a treatment this week as well while I'm gone and I'm not there. And I can guarantee you that I don't want to work out here till 9:30, and I don't want to be here for 5 days either. But if we can get this done together, well, he blew up. So I ended up calling Jonathan, and we played good cop, bad cop there. And I said, Jonathan, you might want to come over here so Tony doesn't quit. And so we ended up working it out, and we got it all done. And at the end of it, he walked up to me and said, Nate, or texted me, Nate, I apologize, and I apologize back to him. Just it's heat of the moment right now, and people did get used to, my guys got used to, maybe 4 years ago, they were working till, there was times where they worked till 11 o'clock midnight on some stuff, but we finally ironed it out to where we've got enough people in the Nashville office, especially, that we can kind of schedule people as they need to be, and they don't have to work these extremely late hours. So they got used to not working all these late hours. And the minute they have to work late now, it's like, what the hell's going on? The world's coming to an end. And I hate it for them. But listen, if I'm going to be out there with you and we're doing it and I'm doing it
Then
with
I
you,
wanna
then
hear it.
I expect you to be here too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, if I was sitting with my feet up on the couch at home, that's one thing. I totally agree with that.
different
But
story. And I mean,
we're all
yeah,
out here together.
right. And we're all going to go home late and we're all going to come back in early. Same thing. But but then it goes back to the warehouse. People in the warehouse, we had to have a couple guys come in that night too, or that morning too, early and on offload to help get everything offloaded so that these guys can get right back out early in the morning. And I mean, it's a change for everybody, but again, I think it's something we have to learn to adapt to and get back to a little bit. I don't want the rental industry to go back to the way that it was before, to where it is just absolutely miserable and a grind, because you're working around the clock hours.
There's going to be weeks where it is that way.
But there's going to be weeks, and we all know, like, depending on where you are, this might only be an 8-month out of the year business for you. And the other months you're off. So it's like, we got to make the money while we can. We got to do what we can to grow the business in those 8 months. And for other people, it's a year-round business. It just depends where you are.
Yeah. So obviously, still a big issue on this topic as well is labor. Are you guys still actively hiring? What are you guys doing? Are you switching mainly to labor companies? I know you use them a lot.
We are actively hiring every single day. I mean, if we could hire 10 people tomorrow full time that want to work, want to travel, or just want that have the drive, we would do that. I mean, we use the labor companies because we have to, right? And we've looked at other things just as much as everybody else, is just like hiring people from around the country and the travel things. And it's not even so much anymore of like, hey, you're in Chattanooga, and so it's hard to find labor. It's just labor in general, man. I really don't know what it is. And I'm hoping that, again, with this safe tenant and everything, showing that it's more of a trade and pushing a trade that will get more people. But like, we're in a good spot to where I've hired office people and admin people. I've got a new sales guy. Funny story. New sales guy started last week. First day on the job, he's out putting up tents. And all last week, he was working till 9 o'clock with me, putting up tents all week long. And he had the best attitude about it, but it's the best way to learn. Yeah. But I told him, I was like, man, it's not usually like this. I apologize, but it's a good way for you to learn real fast. But finding the physical labor that's going to travel, it's still an issue. And I don't know how to solve it, because how many more times can you spend $200, $300 on ads on, whatever hiring website you're getting, and you're not getting anything quality wise back.
Yeah. It's a tough situation. And then I called you, or I texted you about it. I use the labor company, right? I have one issue with them. Why am I paying travel both ways when they're also charging the next guy travel both ways?
Yeah, I mean,
if they moved in New Jersey today and they were flying to you, they're billing you to fly from New Jersey to Nashville right now, and I'm also paying for them to fly from New Jersey to Nashville.
There has to be a home base, I feel like, but that's the thing. These labor companies make their own rules, man. It's the wild, wild west.
Yeah. What kills me is I hired them. They're based out of Maryland, whatever. There's a bunch of them down there, so I'm not calling anyone out. Well, on the estimate, it had travel fee, right, of X amount of dollars. Well, so I assume that was for them to drive from Maryland to New Jersey, spend the 3 days here, whatever. Well, then I get the final invoice.
It's got plane tickets on it.
And now there's plane tickets. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Shouldn't you be upfront about that and say, we think that this is what your airfare is going to cost you?
Well, it's no different than when we send out a freight quote. Like, our Rennie, who's in sales for us, at the end of her freight quote, it says that freight will be finalized 2 weeks before the event, right?
Well, that's fine. That's 2 weeks.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. It should be something in there that says, hey, this will be finalized, or whatever that is, and whatever that looks like. Now, I agree. You have to charge something as far as like, it's like no different than a delivery and pickup fee, right? That's how I equated it to for you. I think there has to be a home base charge though. Like if your company is based in Maryland, then you charge from Maryland to here, right? Maryland
What if they were
to
in Hawaii and had to come to New Jersey or Alaska? Just throwing it out there.
Right. And that would be, I mean, substantial, and you would have to pay that is from what it sounds like. But that's what I'm saying. Regardless, everything should be based, if your company is based in Maryland, you should be basing everything flying in and out of Maryland. I don't care if your guys are in Guatemala. I don't care if they're in Washington, wherever they are, right? You got to charge the fee based on where your company is. I don't agree with that either.
If
And then
paid one way, I wouldn't complain because the fact that when I pay two ways, that means the next guy's also paying two ways. So now they're double dipping.
Right, and that's what I was going to say. So the next guy, so if they're flying from Maryland to, I don't know, New York, wherever, right? Then they should base it on flying back to Maryland, and then from Maryland to Washington or Washington to California or whatever that is, they're making that money there no matter what. They are double dipping. I would 100% agree with you. But that's where a lot of these labor companies are winning, and people are afraid to speak up on them. They're throwing in extra charges at the end of the day, and there's a lot of stuff on there that if you don't pay attention to your bills and look at your bills and ask for receipts, itemized receipts, there's things that are screwed up. I know that I've missed on our bills sometimes, and now that we have accounting looking at everything, she catches everything, and she's not afraid to holler back at them and say something. There's also times where you might not hear from the labor company for 2 months on a bill, and they ask you to pay everything up front, and it's like a giant number, and you're like, well, wait a minute, what happened here? And that happens when, the guy on site, like say I'm on site or a project manager's on site and I forget about it and accounting doesn't remember it. And then all of a sudden you get this bill for $200,000 and it's like, why wasn't I getting this up front? So yeah, I think that there's a lot of things. Don't get me wrong. We need them.
They were great
good
to work with. I just didn't like the surprise at the end.
And I feel like there's always a surprise, and which is really hard because it's hard to quote. When I go to quote stuff, I'm basing it off of, I typically ask them, I said, hey, send me a quote, an itemized quote for this labor so that I can charge adequately. And then we do not veer from this price right here unless I tell you or there's changes or anything else. But like, this is, if you're basing this on 10 hours a day, then if you need to work any overtime at all whatsoever, you tell me that you need to work the overtime. You don't just work the overtime. Or if I tell you, hey, we need to make this change, that change, then we do that, but only if I give you the okay, because we're basing it off of that number. And that's where they win a lot, is they just do the things. And what you got to remember too is if you're supplementing their guys with your guys, mixing their guys in, you got to make sure that your project manager says,
on top of it,
hey, yeah, we're knocking off after 10 hours, or your guy works 10 hours and the labor companies, or your guys work 14 hours, the labor company stops at 10. So making sure that you do those different things is going to save your ass at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, that whole thing was a disaster. Disaster is the wrong word. It had nothing to do with the labor company of why I had a disaster with them. It was the customer for the job I was bringing them in for. But
and union labor, right?
Well, yeah. For the listeners, I was bringing a labor company to do a job for me, and the day before they were supposed to get here to do the job, the client calls me and goes, "Oh, by the way, you have to use all union stagehands to do this job now." So,
which is becoming more and more relevant. It feels like, especially with all this FIFA work and stuff.
Well, that's what I guess it come to find out. FIFA is the one who started all this, but
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, it's becoming a mess. You want to touch on AI a little bit before, just a little bit of technology before we sign off here?
Yeah. Well, here, I got this question for you. What do you think is the hardest position to fill, Nate? Project manager, great installer, or a customer who actually listens and reads what you tell them you were going to do?
Great installer.
Yeah, I agree.
Project manager, I feel, is becoming an easier and easier job role to fill. Now, with that being said, finding the right one for the right job and the quality, you have to have somebody that's willing to step up and have the initiative and take initiative and have the drive. If you don't have the drive, or you're not following schedules, or just just kind of veering off on what you want to do, then obviously you're not going to be the most efficient project manager for the team.
Yeah.
And so I think finding the project managers are easy. It's just a matter of getting them locked into what you're doing. We've got some good ones now, so I'm not so much worried there. And I think going back to your labor questions, that'll help save a lot of money on the labor. But yeah, the installer, I'm running into that a little bit right now. Just trying to move guys up through the ranks and kind of push people to move up. And it's tough because I've got a couple guys that have been there for long periods of time, and they're just comfortable where they're at. They don't want to grow past where
They don't
they're
want to
at.
boss people around. They don't want to be responsible. They're great at their
No.
job. I got a bunch
They're
of
great
those.
at their job, but it makes me so mad because I know that they could be more, but I can't want it for them more than they do. And then
Yep.
problem is, how am I supposed to give you a raise if you don't want to move past that? They think that just because they're there for a year, and now it becomes
They deserve it.
that they deserve it. But at some point, you got to look back, and we have a book that outlines the different stages of your career at Chattanooga Tent, right? And this is where you got to be to know this. This is the second stage. This is where you got to be to know this, and this is your pay that goes with it, right? But a lot of those guys just expect to get pay raises, but not to have to go to that next level. And then what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to tell them, oh, okay, well, you're not getting any more money, and I know you've been here for 15 years, and you've done a lot for me, but good luck.
Learn.
We're not saying that.
This sounds horrible. Learn something.
Yeah, but as an industry, this is what we do. Going back to the saying, yes, we
are scared of our employees.
We work around them. We work around them and what they want to do.
Every other industry has the hire fast, fire fast mentality. We can't because we know there's not a guy standing at the door to hire next.
Correct.
So you're like, I'll tolerate this guy.
There is, but what's the
difference?
What's the difference in the quality? That's the problem. There's a guy out there, but what are you going to get out of that? And God Almighty, half the freaking people you go to hire nowadays don't even have a driver's license, have never driven a freaking car before,
or can't pass a drug test.
Well, but that just baffles me. Is like, how have you never had a driver's license and you're 30, 40 years old? Well, I haven't really needed it. Well, what the hell you been doing with your life? Like, how do you get from point A to point B?
Yeah, I don't. All right,
Nice.
All right, Nate,
That's
ready?
wrappable.
Here we go. Industry hill you're willing to die on.
Oh, a hill I'm willing to die on, man. Adaptive change. There's adapting and change in this industry is so slow. It eventually happens over time, but how we get there is, for somebody like me who's not a very patient person and loves to get things moving, and when I need it, I want it, and I want to get it done, and I want to move on. I want to check my list, check my boxes, because I know there's going to be another problem. I usually get a lot of stuff that kind of piles, and it doesn't get done quick enough. And so, yeah, being adaptive and we're fast paced in a lot of things in this industry, but we're not fast paced in change at all whatsoever.
No, I'm willing to die on pole tents. Make you a ton of money, man. I don't care what you all say.
You're crazy.
I will die on that hill. I'll be the last pole tent company in the country if I have to be.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yep. Anyways. That's all I got.
All right. We've bantered enough. 23 minutes. Nate, closing thoughts?
It's pouring down rain. The skies are dark. It's going to make fun for getting all this stuff down this week. I've got a big next 3 weeks still. So get me to July and we'll be okay. And I feel like I say that every year. So here we are.
I was talking to Devin. I'm not going to pronounce his last name because I'm going to say it wrong, from Amazing. And he said, "Oh, I only have one more week." And I was like, "Yeah, that's something a tent guy says until they're dead."
Yeah. That's the damn truth. No, one day at a time, one day at a time. But yeah, anyways.
All right.
Good to see you this morning, buddy.
Great seeing you. That's been another episode of Under the Vinyl, a rental management media podcast.